I'm happy to report that Pedro Pascal is only playing one character in this movie. Considering we've seen him in everything this year, last year and year before that, I thought Marvel would go all in and just have him play everyone. With his stash, of course. The movie kicks off by letting us know it's set on an alternative Earth, then jumps straight to Reed Richards and Sue Storm in a bathroom, where they just discovered that Sue is pregnant. They hint that having a baby was tricky thanks to the cosmic radiation they got blasted with 4 years ago when they went to space. Then we get a montage of what Fantastic Four have been up to in past 4 years. Reed teaches science to kids instead of college students. Sue is apparently some kind of a politician at the alternative Earth United Nations. We are told Johnny is a ladies' man, though we never actually see it. And Ben Grimm walks around the city doing stuff. They show us how the team helped people and stopped some bad guys. One villain gets a name drop, Mole Man, who now has his own underground nation. The world they live in looks like 60s, and visually it works, but it's more of a coat of paint than a full commitment. All the conveniences of the 21st century are still there, just wrapped in a retro-futuristic 1960s style tech. You might like it. Then we get a family dinner scene. Sue tells Johnny and Ben that she's pregnant, they congratulate Sue and Reed, and we get a few moments showing the team family dynamic. How they act together, how they act alone, and how they're like one-on-one. Mixed with this are two key scenes. Reed invents a teleportation device, and his space sensors pick up some kind of a strange alien communication. Then a bunch of meteors show up in the sky, but luckily they all burn up before hitting Earth. With them comes the horrible CGI monster, the Silver Surfette. Isn't the Silver Surfer supposed to be a man? Norrin Rad. Yeah, well, not this time. The Surfette is Galactus' herald, and he's on his way to eat Earth. Everyone freaks out. Reed confirms the threat by scanning the locations tied to strange alien signals, so the Fantastic Four decide to launch into space and pay Galactus a visit. Waiting for them in orbit is faster-than-light drive, built by Reed Richards, which their shuttle latches onto. And this is where the problems start. At this point in the movie, Sue is heavily pregnant, because the plot skips ahead just enough to turn baby Richards into a galactic MacGuffin Galactus wants. I'm no expert in spaceflight, but I'm pretty sure all those launch G-forces aren't great for the unborn baby. The movie just ignores it. Also, it's shown later that the ship doesn't have the artificial gravity. Keep that in mind, it comes up again. The other problem is that the movie includes an FTL drive, which means light still travels at the usual 300,000 kilometers per second. So if the sun exploded right now, don't worry, you would still have time to finish this video before you die. That also means Reed wouldn't be able to see missing planets unless Galactus ate them decades ago. You would think with all the money that goes into these movies, they could spare $5,000 to hire a physicist to flag this stuff. Most of it could have been fixed with a throwaway line. Also, the FTL drive is so fast that they reach Galactus' ship in no time. Though, with all the time skipping in this movie, I honestly can't say for sure. They witness another planet get devoured by Galactus' colossal ship. Then they're scanned by some kind of beam from the ship. It locks onto Sue's unborn baby. After that, the Silver Surfette shows up and invites them to speak with Galactus. They dock, and on the way, Johnny talks to her. She says a few words in her language, then translates them for him, and that's how he starts to pick it up. Galactus demands the baby in exchange for sparing Earth. They refuse, so he hits Sue with a magic beam that forces her into labor. They make a run for it, with Surfette chasing them down. They shake Surfette by luring her into a massive star. They detach from the FTL drive and let it fall to the star, while the crew uses the star's gravity to slingshot themselves back to Earth at faster than light speed. I feel obligated to point out, pulling off a gravity maneuver that close to a star would turn them all into paste on the inside of the ship. Again, I'm no expert, but maybe they could have hired one. Artificial gravity would have fixed this too, by the way. Sue gives birth, they name the baby Franklin, and they make it back to Earth safely, where a bunch of reporters are waiting for them. Reed gives a statement saying Galactus demanded their child in exchange for sparing Earth, and that was simply too much to sacrifice. He also admits he's not sure if Earth is truly safe now. After the statement, a group of people starts protesting outside of Fantastic Four's home. This is the point in the movie where I started questioning my sanity. Galactus is billions of years old, older than our universe apparently, and cursed with eternal hunger. Honestly, a lot of people could probably relate. He wants to be free of it, to finally rest, and sees that the baby has the powers to replace him. The movie makes it clear he's not an idiot or some kind of mindless force of nature. He is desperate, maybe even hopeful. So here's a wild idea. The Fantastic Four, especially Reed, could have tried negotiating. Because, let's be real, no parent in their right mind is going to hand over their newborn to an eternity of cosmic suffering. How about this? Galactus, come back in 80 years, which is basically a microsecond for you, and let the Franklin decide for himself. He gets to live a full life and make that choice on his own. Not exactly a moral dilemma this time around, is it? But Reed is only as smart as people writing him. Reed actually gives the whole sacrifice our child to save the Earth idea some serious thought, and Sue gets pissed at him just for thinking about it. Yep, sometimes just thinking about something sets people off. It's funny because I do know this is exactly how some women would react, and at the same time I really wish that they had more mature conversation about it. Afterwards, Sue walks out to protesters with baby Franklin in her arms to explain the situation and calm them down. The crowd backs off and her little speech gives Reed an idea. Teleport the entire planet to a new star. One like our sun. Which again is kinda stupid. Because Earth needs moon to stay stable. No moon means Earth's tilt goes haywire and another catastrophe ensues. Just give a script to a physicist. Seriously. And if we're already this deep into sci-fi nonsense, why not just teleport the moon too? That would at least make Reed look like a genius he's supposed to be. The world comes together to build teleportation machines across the planet. But just as the process begins, the silver Surfette shows up and starts wrecking them all. At the very last one, in front of the Fantastic Four headquarters of course, Johnny steps in. He has managed to decipher her language with the help of those communications that Reed recorded. He tells her he knows she once offered herself to Galactus as a scout to save her own planet, then he offers to take Galactus's place himself, to spare Earth and baby Franklin. She shuts him down, telling him that it's not his sacrifice to make. We get a glimpse of her past, she gets emotional and then she leaves, leaving the final teleportation device intact. Reed comes up with another plan. Lure Galactus down to Earth and use baby Franklin as bait. Once Galactus is in position, they'll teleport him somewhere far enough away that Earth is out of reach. Everyone agrees, but there's a problem. Galactus is bigger than skyscrapers, and if he starts walking through the city, people are going to die. Sue suggests evacuating everyone to Mole Man's underground kingdom. So they do that, and then they get ready. Galactus comes down, they bait him with a baby, Johnny blinds him with his flamethrower powers, and they swap the crib with an empty one. But Galactus isn't fooled. He scans the city with his magical eyes, realizes he's been tricked, and calmly walks towards the real baby. So Fantastic Four try brute force, but their attacks do nothing. Once Galactus grabs the baby, Mama Sue gets angry and uses her vaguely defined telekinetic powers to shove him into a teleportation device. Then she collapses. Galactus starts climbing back out because of course the portal is on a timer and can't be shut off manually for reasons. Johnny flies to push him back in, but he's knocked aside by Silver Surfette, who sacrifices herself to finish the job. Yes, the MCU is still here. Women doing the sacrificing. Though, honestly, that CGI blob needed to go. Reed, Johnny and Ben rush to Sue. She's dead. Reed tries to revive her, fails, and then they place baby Franklin on her chest. And he brings her back to life with his powers. The day is saved, and the screenwriters decide to end it on a joke. 3 grown men struggling to figure out how to install a baby seat. In the car, and baby seat designed by Reed Richards himself. The movie is better than Superman, which I didn't expect. But that's not saying much. Marvel hasn't had a great year. Captain African American and the Reject Avengers were both bad, and the Ironheart, just don't watch that. That said, the world building here is definitely better than Superman. The film takes its time to introduce the characters, and I'll give it credit, the screen time is fairly balanced. Sue could have leaned more into motherly role. Johnny was more obsessed with Silver Surfette than actually being ladies' man. The Thing was fine but didn't get much to do in the final battle, and his voice could have been growlier. And Reed was only as smart as whoever wrote the script. The bigger issue is the timeline. We are thrown into alternate universe 4 years after they got their powers. It would have been more interesting if it started 4 months after space mission. Let them face someone like Moleman first, and then build up to Galactus. Because after stopping a planet-eating god, where exactly do we go from here? They also could have set up the next movie with Reed obsessing over bringing Sue back, instead of just waving the baby over her corpse and letting the mutant magic fix everything. But no. No time for that. Avengers Doomsday is coming and Fantastic Four need to be in it. I say 4 out of 10. 1 point for each functioning brain cell the writers used. Still 3 more than Ironheart. Thanks for watching.